12:05 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday, Helping Seniors Brevard Day, right here on 90.3 FM. As we get things underway, let's say good afternoon to the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink.
Hey, John Harper, and thank you. And thank you, listener, for joining us. This is always a fun part of the week. We get together on Wednesdays at lunchtime right here, 12 noon to 1 p.m. on 90.3 FM, WEJF radio, blasting up and down the Space Coast. Hello, Miko. Hello, Mims. And everybody, all points in between.
and Vero Beach and Fort Pierce.
Yeah, it's true. The signal does not stop at the county line, does it? It just keeps going and going. And then it actually keeps going online because we also want to welcome our listeners online at wejf.net, and literally they can be from all over the world for that matter. So this is the Helping Seniors Hour. I welcome on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, and our education specialist, Kim Bernard, and our whole team. And what we want to do when we get together is, besides having a good time on the radio, we want to share some good information. Joe Steckler, our president and founder, has always talked about making an aging plan. And that is such an important thing because here in Florida, we understand hurricane plan, right? They tell us, get ready for a hurricane. Make sure you have these preparations. Hopefully a hurricane never comes near you. But God forbid, should be one headed towards us, then we sort of have a plan of what to do. And that's what Joe means by an aging plan. Hopefully some of the things that maybe you've seen happen with older folks. Hopefully none of that ever hits your household, but it can. And so we want to be prepared and know how we're going to react to that. And so as we were talking about our show today, we thought about really a neat title because it sort of fits with how Joe Steckler has always talked about this. You have to start with where you're at currently and then really build the best plan for your life that you can. And so we're going to kind of title this How to Find the Sweet Spot in Senior Living. And we have no better representatives to join us in the radio studio today to help us talk about than two very, very longtime friends of the Helping Seniors organization. First would be Jennifer Helin with Seniors Helping Seniors of Brevard. And hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, Kerry. Good afternoon.
Long time no see. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But basically, for the purposes of the topic, you run an incredible company called Seniors Helping Seniors. And while we joke a lot, people get our names mixed up. We're the charity that operates the county's information helpline, and you guys are the people that hire seniors to help seniors. So you're really helping seniors find that sweet spot on two sides, right? Maybe they want to do a little something extra work-wise that's fulfilling and enjoyable, or maybe they need some help at home and want some good quality help there, and that's kind of what you guys are all about.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
and with that, let me introduce our other guest, another longtime friend of the Helping Seniors organization. And originally, I love to tell this story because this says something actually about Joe's character and also our next guest character, because Joe was a little skeptical when we first introduced him to our next guest, because Joe is he's probably the county's strongest advocate for seniors. Nothing irks Joe more than see a senior be taken advantage of. I mean, it's just terrible. And there are scams and things. We've spent a lot of time talking about that. But Barbara McIntyre of Reverse Mortgage Funding, you really had to educate Joe and kind of win him over. And then he finally is like, now he's the first one to say, have you considered a reverse mortgage as you're looking at your aging plan?
It's absolutely true. And it took me more than one visit with Joe. Took a little more time than just telling him one time.
And this is really what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into the heart of it, we are literally today, we're 2.5 weeks out from the Helping Seniors Car Raffle.
Ooh, it's getting so close.
It is. We're talking October 9th, and we're all going to be at the American Muscle Car Museum. And you guys have both been there many times, right?
Yes.
If you've not been there, describe this for somebody who's like, I don't know, I'm not even a car fan. Why would I care?
Well, even if you've been there before, he is always adding cars. So it's 2 football fields worth of cars under air. It is not just cars, but motorcycles, boat engines, tractors, all sorts of crazy things that he has collected. It's one man's collection. It's absolutely amazing. It's always changing. And even if you're not a car enthusiast, the history behind all of these things are just amazing.
Yeah, it's really true, and I loved all the different things, the different collectibles that he has. Just the Coke machine, Pepsi machines, Coke machines, just all kinds of odds and ends. Very, very old, and I loved all the tractors, and it's a neat place, very neat place.
You know what's so funny about the tractors is they're not tractors. Well, they are tractors, but they are Porsche tractors.
That's
and
exactly.
I was thinking, like, who else but a car expert would say, I need tractors, but I'm not going to get a brand. It's actually, apparently, that's how Porsche started before they were doing the racing cars. They made tractors, and somehow they got the idea to build cars from there. And, what was funny is we were all in there just the other week because Mark Pylock, being the great gentleman and friend of helping seniors that he is, last year we couldn't go to the museum because of COVID, so we stood outside and we drew the winner's name there, and that person from Indy Atlantic, he decided he wanted the Chevrolet Camaro, and that was a great night at the museum, except nobody could be there. So he said, no, I want you guys to have a make good date. So a couple of Sundays ago, he said, I'm going to open up the museum. Everybody who has your 2020 tickets, come on out and enjoy the museum. So we're all out there. I'm in the front, and I'm checking on people, making sure everybody's coming in. And so they're filming stuff that we can use to promote the car raffle. And I run across this clip later, and it looks very much like Jennifer, Helin, and Ashley Caswell from Hibiscus Court, and they're sitting in a VW that has like 23 windows. It's one of those remember they called them microbuses back in the days, and you guys were just having fun in there.
Oh, we asked Ed permission to go in that, and we had such a good time in there. Big fuzzy dice hanging down. It was a lot of fun. That is a really cool car to sit in, but realized it is not super comfortable to drive.
No, I would think that I was a real fan because we were in there last year filming some stuff. All this stuff, by the way, you can find on the Helping Seniors website if you go to helpingseniors.carraffle.com. Or go to our YouTube page because there's a couple of, they call them playlists in YouTube where you can just hit a video and it'll play several videos through. And there's a whole line of videos you can watch from last year's car raffle, a whole line of videos you can watch about this year's car raffle. You can see them on the Facebook page. But it was really interesting to see you guys having fun with that. But last year we were there and he was taking a Porsche, and I'd never seen this before, a Porsche limo. And they had it in their back shop, and they were just like, whatever you call it, reconstructing it, remanufacturing it, renovating it, whatever the technical term is. And then now we're in here in the museum this year, and it's already won awards. It's like a top show car now.
And the history behind that car was really cool. It was specifically made for one of the top execs' daughter's wedding.
Wow.
To take her to the wedding. So it's a really unique, low-profile Porsche limo.
Wow. Yeah, and it's just one of the cars, and that's the point. Every car in there is not just a car. Like, oh, let me stick a car in here. There's an incredible story behind each and every car.
And there's a number of men and women. They're wearing, I believe it's yellow.
Yes.
Yellow shirt. And they're like docents in a museum.
Right.
They know so much about the stories behind the cars and then the engines themselves, if that's what you really want to know about. And then what I found was intriguing was the cars that he's just purchased that are still sitting in the back that he hasn't moved in, and how they're going to have to build more of the double deckers because he keeps adding cars to this. As a matter of fact, I even said, well, there's a lot of land here. Is he planning to build another building? And they said yes.
Yes.
So
yes.
he's
There's
quite
construction
the
there right
collector.
now.
That's right.
Yeah, so that brings us to today. So last year, remember we couldn't go out. Normally we go out to car shows, we go out to senior expos, and it's a chance for us to meet people, explain what we do, say, if you want to support the work of helping seniors, buy a car raffle ticket. That's what you can do that makes a difference. Better yet, buy 5 car raffle tickets and really make a difference. So the way it works is you buy 1 ticket for $25, or you get 5 tickets for a $100 donation, and you get really 3 things out of that. Number 1, you're helping the work of helping seniors. We cannot do this without you. People think money just drops out of the sky. Well, it doesn't drop out of the sky any easier for us than it does for you. And so when you help us, you're helping us now in our 10th year of operating the county's senior information helpline. But the second thing it does is it gives you a chance to pick one of 4 amazing cars. And we've had this conversation. You can choose a 2021 Camaro, 2021 Challenger, Kia Sportage, or Mazda Miata. And the third thing it does for you is get you into that museum for that night. You don't have to be present to win, but if you are in town, you do not want to miss this. All the beer, wine, sodas included, some snacks are included. It's just a fun, you don't have to dress up, you don't have to put on your tux, you just come out the way you are and enjoy 3 hours with this amazing collection, and you might even drive home with a car to add to your collection.
Wow, wouldn't that be nice?
So win-win-win.
Yeah, it really is. So last year when we couldn't go to the museum and we couldn't go to car shows and we couldn't go to senior expos, we're like, oh my goodness, how do we let people know things are going on? So we'd started this survey, and if you remember, we're just saying, it's just for fun. You can choose up to the night when they call you and say it's your ticket, you choose the car you want. Last year, the winner wanted the Camaro. Year before, the lady wanted the Challenger, and it's just your call. But for fun, we put a little survey up, and we just said, just vote for fun. And as you might imagine, the two top entries were the muscle cars, the Dodge versus the Chevy. And so we started thinking, because I got like 60, it wasn't really as lopsided as you might imagine, but it was about 60% went to those. Then I think it was about 28% to the Mazda, and then the rest over to the Kia. But the Challenger and the Camaro, were fairly evenly split. So that started us thinking, so, well, I wonder if Mark would let us take cars out to the museum and drive them. Well, you never know until you ask. And they were like, sure, come on out. So last year, Jennifer Helin and your office buddy, Ricky Montgomery, together with folks from the Hibiscus Court, Ashley Caswell and Sharice Durham, you guys came out. You chose sides. You said, I'm going to be Team Dodge. And she said, I'm going to be Team Chevy. And you guys got in these cars and you drove them. And it's a hilarious video because we stuck GoPros. So like when you guys were in the cars and you hit the gas, what you saw was not a rehearsal. In fact, what I heard Sharice, she reminded me today, she said, oh yeah, we had a whole script and everything. And it was out the window once we hit the gas.
Oh, absolutely. We had so much fun with it. But yeah, you turned into a 16-year-old boy when you get behind the car. And I laughed like we had so much fun.
Yeah, it was incredible. And so we were able to use that video last year. It's had thousands and thousands of views if you check it out on Facebook. And it was so much fun, and it really helped us get over the hump to get the word out about the car raffle. In fact, last year's car raffle, thank God, was the best one that we've ever had as helping seniors, and it really helped us a lot during this time of COVID because, as you imagine, too, during COVID times, we're getting more calls, more requests for service, more things that we have to do, so it even became more critical than before. So when we were at the museum, we went back and asked kindly, said, well, if we didn't mess up your test track too bad, and we went back and asked the guys at AJ's Boniface Hires Chevrolet and Boniface Hires Dodge store, said, well, if we didn't mess up your cars too bad last year, would you let us do it again? And so everybody gave us the thumbs up. So literally this morning, we were out once again, back out there. Jennifer, it's your story now. Tell it.
Yeah, I'm still coming down a little bit. We had so much fun. So they brought the Dodge and the Chevy back out. And we got to test drive both cars, and we really got to put them down the track. They really let us open them up. So Team Dodge, Sharice and I got in that. We had a great time. AJ Hires is wonderful. He sends his guys over, so we had a crew chief, Darren from the Dodge dealership, very knowledgeable. The car will measure your reaction time. So Sharice really is a car girl. And so my goal was just to be able to match her time. And she was winning out of everybody driving the car. She had the best reaction time. In the last run, I was able to match her time. So I consider that a huge success. But we had what was really neat today is that not only did we have the Camaro, and Eric, the wonderful salesman from the Chevrolet dealership, brought his own Camaro, by the way, which was amazing that he did that for us. It's an SS. It's a little bit of better engine than we got in the Dodge, but we'll forgive Darren for that. But we also had the winner from 2 years ago showed up, and they got to go down the track with that, and that has a Hemi engine in it. So it was great fun to see them be able to take that down the track and to listen to that car, and we had a ball. It
was so much fun, and we were joking because it's kind of like a white top. It's like it's all concrete paved, but now it's kind of like a black top.
A little rubber did meet the road today.
And so what was really so fun about it, because Ed Dedek, who's the operations manager, really great guy, he knows these cars inside and out. So he actually gets a car so like our camera guy can like follow them as they're running down the track.
Oh, my
They can
goodness.
follow down the track. And literally as we left, because we had to leave to come to the radio show, literally they were doing some drone footage still with the cars. So all this is being put together. So you're going to be able to see the 2021 Dodge versus Challenge rematch. We're hoping to debut that on Saturday. And where you're going to see it, I couldn't believe that we could get this domain. But all you got to remember is Dodge V Chevy Challenge.com. Dodge, or you could type in VS. It doesn't matter. Either will get you there. Dodge V Chevy Challenge.com. And then you will see what actually happens with this one. So it's going to be fun. But why do we do this? We're trying to get your attention, so that you will help us by not only getting tickets for yourself and your family, but maybe also tell your friends that they need to come out as well. And Barb McIntyre, you have tickets, right?
Oh, sure I do. Absolutely.
So when people are calling you about reverse mortgages and getting more information about their particular what they have or what they're considering, you have tickets for them, and we're going to talk a little bit more about all that, but you have tickets for them,
I
right?
do, absolutely. So give me a call, and I can help you out.
And that number is?
321-259-7880.
Okay. And Jennifer Helin, at your office, Seniors Helping Seniors, you guys have tickets.
We do. We're at the corner of Dairy and Hibiscus. Give us a call at 321-722-2999.
Yeah, and so the only way you can lose in this thing is if you don't get a ticket, right? Because then you're definitely not going to win. You're definitely not going to have a great night at the museum. And then we lose on the Helping Senior side because we don't have the benefit of your support. And we really sincerely do need that. It's like we're saying, as much as giggling and smiling and having fun with the cars is, so this is a fun part of what we get to do. But we deal with some very, very serious issues day in, day out. Because, a lot of times it's like, I'm sure if you talk to a firefighter, they'll tell you much rather come out and help you set up your house to avoid the fire than have to come out and hose out burning embers at 3 a.m. in the morning now that everything is lost. And I've heard it so often over and over, whether we're talking to elder law attorneys, whether we are talking to people who do in-home care, whether people who we're talking to that are involved in assisted living. It's like, why didn't I meet you 30 days before? Because we would have had so many more options than what we're trying to work through right now, given the situation.
It's true. That's why Joe says it's all about the planning.
It really is. And we get to see, on our side, the people who have planned and are doing it well.
Right.
And then we get to see, unfortunately, people who have not planned and are really struggling. So we, unfortunately, we do get that perspective of both sides, and it really behooves you to plan ahead.
I was thinking about this because Joe is 89 or fixing to be 89, right, in December. So he takes a knocking and keeps on rocking. He's a retired Navy captain. His last command in the Navy was for the Navy's retirement home in Mississippi. Then they retire here. He builds up Brevard Alzheimer's, gets Joe's Clubs established, and he says, but seniors have more problems than just exclusively memory issues, and I want to create a nonprofit that really has a way to teach people how to deal with that. And that's what this is all about, is getting information into hands of people so they can make good decisions. Like Joe, who has done a good job of his aging plan, but he still, because of his age, he runs into things that the aging plan at least gives him an idea of how he wants to move. And that's why I think he's such a big advocate of doing that for the rest of us, is because it's tough to do all the things you want to do, but then it's tough if you have a few hands tied behind your back or things. Joe's big fight these days is just being able to get ambulatory again. He's been through a knee operation and trying to get back for a second one so he can really get back up on his feet. And it's a tough fight.
He's really determined,
Yeah.
And the thing too is that you can't wait until you are, in your 80s to start your aging plan. Aging plans really, if it's a plan and you're doing it to make sure you're prepared, you really have to start thinking about it in your late 50s, early 60s. What am I going to do? Because, people are retiring, and then what? How much pension? How much Social Security? Is my home paid for? Do I still have a large mortgage I'm taking along with me? Do I plan to go into assisted living at a certain age? Do I plan to stay in place and age in my home? Those are things that you really, if you think ahead of time, then you can plan around those future thoughts, and it just makes things much smoother.
You know, that's what I appreciate about both of you so much, is because you know and see this and are willing to share your knowledge with people. Because I always go, a lot of the aging stuff, almost by definition, is on the job training, right? You really can't know exactly until you are there yourself. But even as a person caring for somebody who's arrived at some sort of a point like that, it's still, you know, and it's ironically, people say, well, if I have money, I can just buy my way through it or find the right help or whatever. But so often we get calls from people we get people who are absolutely destitute. They're making it on their Social Security check. But we get people who have a lot of resources, but they're still stymied because they have no idea how you could be as intelligent and able to write big checks. But if you don't know who to call or how to work in a particular situation, you're still stuck.
Absolutely. You know, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't like to look at those what ifs. We don't want to look at, you know, doing a will or a power of attorney, or because we don't want to think about those things. And then you get to a situation and realize, holy cow, I have no idea how to handle this. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so good about helping seniors, is that we do help people through those times, no matter if they have money or if they don't.
You know, that is so true. Yesterday, I was doing an interview with Brittany Mulligan over at Hometown News. Now, she's doing her big write-up for us in Hometown News about the car raffle. And as we were talking about this, and she's very alert and aware of the challenges that seniors face. And, of course, Joe publishes an article in there several times a month in that weekly Hometown News newspaper. But what we got into was this conversation is about that what happens for people is they run up on this crisis, and so then they don't know how to react. And I was telling her the story. I have a mutual friend of ours that you guys may know, Troy Denault. He's the head of a company called Sotir LLC, and he summed it up beautifully. He said, nobody wakes up on a random Saturday morning and says, you know what, let's go look at retirement homes. It's just not a thing that comes up in conversation. We all kind of want to go around it. And so when we come back on the second side of the Helping Seniors show, we're going to really talk about what are the things that we could do practically that help position us for a sweet spot, no matter what the circumstance, because we can't really always be sure. If they tell us a hurricane's on the way, you know, first they give you a watch, they call it, then they give you a warning, and the warning means you have like X number of hours, but you know they really think it's going to hit here. And sometimes even when you give a warning, it goes another direction, thank God. But if it's coming straight at you, don't you want to be prepared? Don't you want to know what to do? And a reverse mortgage could be a great way to do it. And even getting that first rung of help going, like what you guys do with Seniors Helping Seniors, is going to be a great way to start, or maybe a great way to supplement your income, depending on which side of that equation you're on. So those are all the things we're going to talk about. Our guest today is Barbara McIntyre with Reverse Mortgage Funding, and Jennifer Helin with Seniors Helping Seniors of Brevard. And we'll be back on the other side of the break, talk about the sweet spot of senior living.
12:33 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard. As we get back to more of the show, here's your host, the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper, and it's great to be back on the second half of our Wednesday lunch hour time together. Thank you for sharing your lunchtime hour with us here on 90.3 FM, WEJF Radio, and for those of you tuning in online, WEJF.net, and also for the quite sizable audience, by the way, who hears this as a podcast, because when we're done with the radio show, what we do is we archive it and we put it into our YouTube channel, Helping Seniors of Brevard. We put it into our Facebook page, Helping Seniors of Brevard, and we put it into our website page, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. And people will look them up by topic years later. I mean, somebody will say, like, I need to know about reverse mortgage, so they'll search reverse mortgage. And here comes the show that we did with our guest, Barbara McIntyre, Reverse Mortgage Funding. Or somebody says, I need some help in the home, and so they'll look up home help, and they'll get, here's Jennifer Helin with Seniors Helping Seniors. We've done many TV shows together, radio shows, Helping Seniors updates, all kinds of things. And so we're really excited about having our guests in the studio. And so what we really want to do in the second half of the show is talk about finding the sweet spot in senior living, because our president and founder, Joe Steckler, is all about putting together an aging plan. And so the question is, we all have problems. I mean, if we sat here, I'm a glass is half full kind of guy just by how I see the world, because I could sit here and focus on every problem, every issue, every challenge, and probably end up just wanting to pull hairs out of my head, and it's still not going to solve the problem. But I think that if we are proactive in looking at good ways to improve, to take a look at what we have. I have a pastor who one of his typical comments is everything you need is already in the house. And what he's trying to get us to think about is, it's not always the grass is greener, or, if I just had this, I would be able to do that. But it's that we are able to actually take a look and inventory what we already have, or I would say what God has given us, and find a way to make that work. And so when we talk about the different things that you guys offer and what you do, you're really beneficial to helping somebody discover the resources that they have really close by. And I guess maybe, Jennifer, let me just start with you, because you can approach it from two directions, right? You're able to provide that little bit of extra help that gets somebody comfortable with having somebody in the house, that gets somebody used to the idea of, like, maybe I can back off a little bit and let somebody else take some of the load. And conversely, you also have a very fulfilling job opportunity for seniors that say, I don't really want to work full-time in a career, but I don't want to just atrophy by doing nothing. I want to do something meaningful.
Absolutely. So for our clients, we really are able to help them stay at home longer and more successfully. And I always encourage people to go ahead and start help, as soon as they think they might need it. We have a lot of people that will decline help, and they will refuse it again and again and again. And unfortunately, what we've seen is for those people who, no, I don't need any help, I'm not going to have anyone in, then maybe they're not eating properly, they're not taking their medications properly, they end up in the hospital, and we get a vicious cycle. And sometimes we've seen them refuse themselves right into a nursing home. And
Right.
you hate to see that, because you know that if we were able to go in just for 2 hours a day, we could have kept them at home with, the proper nutrition, making meals, making sure that we did give them a medication reminder. We could have kept them very happy, very healthy at home for so much longer. So, the goal is really to keep people where they want to be, as safely, as respectfully, and as long as possible.
I'm going to jump in here too, Jennifer, because I know that a lot of times people, seniors are lonely. And sometimes just having that person who comes in and is with you for a few hours a day can, make a huge difference just in the companionship that you have, as far as you feeling a senior at home that ends up refusing any kind of assistance and then ending up in a nursing home. Sometimes just having someone come and visit them and be with them makes a huge difference in itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I tell a lot of times the kids that will talk to us, I need help from mom and dad. We might be just doing some transportation, but they're talking the whole time to and
Right.
from. So there's always a companionship. Even when we're cleaning the house, there's always a companionship piece
Right.
with it.
And that I know that plays a very large role.
It is. It's huge that, they talk about dementia. One of the biggest things is keeping social, eating healthy
Absolutely.
diet, and exercising, but keeping social is a huge part of keeping yourself away from dementia symptoms. So that is always a wonderful thing. And like you said, we are a great place for a senior who has retired. Maybe they've fooled around for a couple of years and they want to do something that they feel really good about. We're a very flexible part-time job. We really do match our caregivers and our clients. So, we'll go out and we'll interview the client, and we get a lot of information. We get a lot of fun information, where they're from, what their interests and hobbies are, and then we match them. So, we'll go to the caregiver and say, hey, I've got this really, really cool lady, and she's from Wisconsin, and I know you're a big cheesehead, so this might be a great, great combination, and it really, really works.
It's perfect. And I can also say, given my clientele, which is all senior-based folks, a lot of times after someone has suffered a loss, perhaps their marital partner has passed away, and they're battling that loneliness and grief. And oftentimes I've said, if you can just get yourself out the door and go
Yes.
do something, volunteer at Sunflower House, or I talk about volunteering, but even more important, if they can do something like Seniors Helping Seniors, make a connection with a client, make a little money, gives them a little purpose, I know that would go such a long way to helping someone move through that grief process and not feel so lonely themselves. It's just a wonderful
exactly right.
situation, really.
As you guys are having this conversation, I keep thinking back to all that we all went through. It was supposed to be 30 days to stop the spread, and here we
Right.
are the better part of 2 years later.
Right.
And in fact, it's bad. I just saw a thing come up on Facebook where, how Facebook says 1 year ago you were doing this. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I remember we had ventured 1 year ago out to Disney World. It was like, the mass and the whole thing. So it's been quite a journey. And I remember thinking, very early on, it didn't take too long. It took a little bit, and we lost a lot of people while they were figuring it out. But pretty quickly, they said, you're not going to die from this if we follow CDC guidelines, the social distancing, the hand washing, the wearing the mask, all the things they told us to do. It became pretty clear that we could keep seniors safe medically. At least from the COVID.
Right.
But the challenge that we also saw come up at the same time was that the isolation was then becoming the killer, right?
Absolutely.
And so, Jennifer, what you guys do with Seniors Helping Seniors, you really battle that from both ends of that equation, whether it's somebody helping in the home or somebody says, I want to be a helper in the home.
Exactly, because that companionship is a huge piece of it. Like I said, no matter what we're doing, that companionship piece is always there. And we really do try to match the clients and the caregivers. So, my theory is if the caregiver is really happy to be there, then the client is going to be really happy that they're there as well, and it works. And we've thankfully gotten a really great reputation here in Brevard County for doing just that. We will get special requests of, my mom speaks English, but she's originally Spanish speaking, and where she is with her dementia, she wants to say her prayers, and we would love to have somebody who could do the prayers with her in Spanish.
Wow.
That's how detailed sometimes we will get in trying to match our caregiver and our client together so that we're meeting those needs.
So, and I guess one of the things, because I always like to take, when we talk on the radio, there's some people who are real experts. You guys are real experts. I may be a beginner expert just because I've been around you guys for a while. But I know for so many people, in general, we just run up on stuff. We don't have ideas of, like they say, assisted living. Our mind immediately thinks nursing home because we don't know all the spectrum of services available.
Right.
When we think home help, we think like a nurse coming in the home. That's the only thing that we have we don't understand that there's different levels of care. And so one of the things that I think is important while we're talking about Jennifer Helin with Seniors Helping Seniors, the things that you guys do is, I'm sure many of us have the question like, well, is this only for rich people? Could I even afford to have help in the home? I know I have to pay for this if I'm having somebody come over. This isn't something that typically my insurance might pay. I probably have to private pay this. I get that. But then that makes it for rich people because I don't think I can afford that. But yet I've been around you long enough to know that isn't the case at all. You're very affordable, and it's not like there's big contracts or all these things that go into it, right?
Exactly. So because we are non-medical, we are that first rung into home care, and there really truly is a broad spectrum. We are able to keep our prices down, and we're able to be a lot more flexible. We do have a 2-hour minimum per week, and that way a couple or a single senior can maybe start with just 2 hours a week to kind of get used to having someone in the home. And then when we can increase as needed. And like I said, if people do have a little bit of help, often we're able to spot potential issues and prevent them from happening so that they don't end up needing that additional higher level care. Because unfortunately, as more care is needed, then the prices do go up. So if we were looking from a financial standpoint, you're better off having a little bit of help at first, and hopefully that will extend your care dollars, so that you're not spending that really expensive,
Right.
immediately. You're able to kind of stay at home cheaper than you are to go to an assisted living facility.
Because that is really the case too, is that assisted living is not a cheap opportunity either.
No.
And so oftentimes when folks are comparing, staying at home and aging in place versus going into an assisted living, that becomes unaffordable as well sometimes. So that's where I come into the picture as a specialist in looking at the house and what it's worth and what a reverse mortgage might afford a borrower. Those funds are accessible to pay for services like starting out with just limited home care, to get to know the people that are coming in and visiting with you. And then as time goes on, possibly making a change to the way the shower is built so that you can get in and out of it safely. I mean, you paid for the senior paid for their house, and then they probably put their kids through school. So it's time now for their house to really care for them back. And that's the purpose of a reverse mortgage, is to let the house give you the funds you need to take care of you. And it really does. It's a really good source of funds, and I'm an information giver and an expert in the product. So I'm just a great place to ask questions and learn about it.
Yeah, we're talking with Barbara McIntyre, reverse mortgage funding. You really are an expert in that. And then we also are talking with Jennifer Helin with Seniors Helping Seniors. And what we're talking about is how you can position the things that you have in your house, both, I guess, physically, if we're talking about a reverse mortgage, but also just so that you get the help you need at home. Or maybe you find a job that fits kind of it's cut to the continuity of what you want to do in life. You don't want a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 kind of thing. You want to do something that you feel is meaningful. I am really shocked at how often I meet people who are either seniors or approaching senior age who have kind of been there, done it all, and have heard them say things like, I don't want another corporate job. I want to do something that's important and meaningful and will actually make a difference in somebody's life. And I got to think that taking a look at what you guys offer employment-wise at Seniors Helping Seniors has got to fit that bill. If you're not a caring person, I guess you would say probably you don't need to apply here. But assuming that you are, and really most people are, then you really represent a great opportunity for that. What is the process for somebody just to get in touch with Seniors Helping Seniors on either side? Maybe I just want to hear what working with you guys would be like. Or, I'm limited budget, but what could 2 hours do to help my situation, or 4 hours, or whatever it might be?
So everyone is welcome to check us out online at www.seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard. But also call the office. We have lots of conversations that, we might talk and realize, hey, you really do need the hands-on care. And if that happens, we're very honest about it, and we're going to recommend another company that we know and trust.
Yep.
And maybe it's a situation where you are to the point where the spouse, the dementia has progressed, that it would be safer for that person to be in memory care.
Yeah.
We're going to be honest about that as well. So we don't mind having those conversations. If we don't do business together, that's okay. But give us a call at 321-722-2999.
Thank you, Jennifer Helin, Seniors Helping Seniors. And Barb McIntyre, there was a radio show you and I did, I think it was about a month back, and I thought it was really an excellent show because of the information that you conveyed. We were talking about the real estate market and how hot the real estate market is. And I was asking you the question, is that a good thing? And it's funny because Jennifer walked in today.
That was my
asked the
first
same
question for her today.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing if you're thinking about a reverse mortgage?
And there's no better time than now to take a look.
Right.
As we all know, values are very high. Interest rates are very low. you benefit from the mortgage, what you're eligible to receive based on that appraised value of the home. And they're so high right now that you're really looking at maximum benefit. You don't have to draw the benefit. It can sit right there. You've secured it by doing the mortgage. It can sit in a line of credit, which actually grows, which is kind of interesting, and never even draw on it until you actually need it. So if you're 62 and older, my favorite is knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And I'm just like Jennifer. I do not encourage anyone to go forward with a mortgage of any nature unless it really does fit into a plan. And so I actually ask some hard questions like, do you think you want to go into where do you see yourself years from now? And I force my clients to kind of think about it because there's some circumstances that it's not the good thing to do. Right. But if it does fit in your long-term plan, there is absolutely no better time to take a look at the product than right now, because it just couldn't be better with the low rates and the high values of homes.
And isn't there, I was just going to ask, isn't there a factor in there too? Because like if you were to take like a regular line of credit in your home, and just God forbid, house values dropped, like they did in 2008. Who would have thought,
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, if you have a regular home mortgage line, they'll send you a letter saying, oh, we're so sorry, but based on market conditions, your line of credit has been reduced to this. That doesn't happen in what you're talking about with a reverse mortgage.
You're absolutely right, Kerry. The home equity line of credit a bank will give you, if home values start to decline, the bank has the right to cease letting you borrow on that line of credit and to reduce how much you're eligible to borrow. With a line of credit in a reverse mortgage, it cannot be canceled, reduced, or called due. So as long as you continue to live in that home, that line of credit that was given to you at the beginning, told what you could borrow at the beginning, whether you've drawn any on it at all, is going to continue to grow, giving you access to more borrowing power over all the years you live in your home, and it can't be reduced, canceled, or called due.
Wow.
So again, there's no better time. And if you're 62, you're eligible to put into place the home equity conversion mortgage. That's the FHA insured product. And in my case, I did it when I'm 62, planning to draw on it when I'm in my 80s,
right,
so that I can age in place and have all the funds I need for home health care.
Right.
That was my plan, and that's what I did. But for someone, there's so many ways it can be used. It can be used as an income stream to supplement your income. If your partner has passed away, you have less income. There's just so many things about the product that can assist you to have the life you deserve in your retirement.
When you add it up, the other thing that I think is one of these common misconceptions is like, well, I'm giving away the kids' inheritance. But I was thinking about this like this, and tell me if I'm saying this right. So in the future, if house values were decimated, you wouldn't be leaving much to your kids anyway. But now it's protected, right? Because even if it went down and you borrowed at the higher level, that never has to be repaid because it was just how it was set up in the reverse mortgage. But the flip side of it is, let's say house prices continue to rise at an astronomical level. You would still have an option at that point to sell the house, and then now you're just going to have the profit from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. When you sell the home, when you no longer live in the property and your heirs inherit that home, they'll look at what it's worth. Likely, 9 times out of 10, they'll sell the house. Your children usually don't need your home.
Right.
And then they will pay off whatever you borrowed. And all of the retained value of that home becomes the estate's. That's exactly how it works. So the children most definitely are not giving up anything. The house is actually just helping take care of the people who bought it and paid for it to give them what they need in their elder years. And 9 times out of 10, again, the children want the parents to be secure and have what they need. Yeah. They're not worried about what they may inherit, even though they still will inherit off the home.
Yeah, we were talking before the show. I was telling the story that there is a very successful financial planner that I do a lot of ministry work with when I'm wearing a different hat. And he was relating the story of helping I would call him a very successful pastor of a pretty good-sized mega church in Orlando who's retirement age. And he was trying to downsize and find a home for his family that would be appropriate to retire into. And basically, I was sort of surprised, although not surprised, because, Barbara, of all the conversations we've had, that this financial expert's advice to the pastor was, let's look at a reverse mortgage to help you finance the home that you plan to acquire to live in.
Absolutely. The Helin purchase mortgage is becoming more popular all the time. It's been around since 2010, but more people are aware of it. I do many. And what it actually does is let someone who's going to buy a house who plans to spend 100% of the cash, buy it for cash. It lets them take 50% of the cost of buying the house from the mortgage.
Correct.
And only use 50% of the cash that they would have used, leaving them way more money invested in for their retirement to access. It's just a perfect scenario for someone buying their retirement home who plan to pay cash for it.
Yes.
The Helin purchase mortgage makes so much sense, and and financial planners get it. So
what you were saying, I was just thinking as you said that, because they had actually, this is what they had pointed out to this person, is they had written like this chart, like, well, if you take this money and you leave it invested the way you've got it invested, it becomes this over, how financial planners will tell you 10 years, 20 years, whatever the timeline is. And that was precisely their point to him. So, like, why would you forego what you're earning on this money so that you could do this when you could use this financial tool, this reverse mortgage, to help you work this thing out?
All right. And the only asset used to repay the reverse mortgage is the house.
Yes.
So even if the house depreciates for whatever reason and doesn't continue to appreciate, no other asset that this rather wealthy man has is going to be required to pay it off. So you're really protecting your children's inheritance.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the spectrum. I mean, reverse mortgages is a very smart mortgage for people over 62 years old. No matter what your circumstance is, it can play a role of some type.
Yeah, and I love the comment. I think I shared this with you that the pastor said. He said, I had never, this is what he told the financial, he says, I'd never thought of this. He said, to be honest, he said, I don't mean this wrong, but he said, I'd always thought it was sort of like a loan of last resort. It was maybe meant for poor people, and all they had was the house. But here he is, a fairly okay financially sitting kind of guy. And then this becomes what the financial planner says, but this is still the best way to do it.
Right. And it was thought of as a mortgage of last resort for many years ago. So we've spent a lot of time trying to get rid of that misconception.
Right.
And that's what I love to do. I love to just tell people the facts, make sure they understand what is a misconception. I love talking to the family or their advisors, whether it is a financial planner, or I've even talked to a borrower and his pastor.
Wow.
So whoever they rely on, that's the way to go. But knowledge is power.
Interesting. So, Barb McIntyre, you have always been generous with your time. And it's funny. I know you've had calls from people who've seen the videos and things like that, and then call up and say, hey, tell me about this. But if people want to get the benefit of your wisdom on this topic as they look for their own sweet spot, how do they get in touch with you?
They can call me anytime at 321-259-7880.
It's Barbara McIntyre. Reverse Mortgage Funding is the name. It's a little harder to remember than maybe Tom Selleck, but it will be definitely worth your while because you're talking to somebody who's local and who gets everything that's going on here. So one more time, that number.
It's 321-259-7880.
All right. And so Jennifer Helin, as we've been talking about, whether a senior is looking for a great job opportunity or maybe they're looking for some help to get started at home, how do they get in touch with Seniors Helping Seniors?
So please give us a call at 321-722-2999. You can also check us out on the web, www.seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard. And we're really looking for people beachside, especially the Melbourne Beach in the Atlantic area. We could we'd love to have someone retired that would like a part-time job in those areas.
Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you. That's about the time we have for today's edition of the Helping Seniors radio program. On behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, Kim Bernard, our education specialist, our entire team that has been working very hard out at the racetrack at the Muscle Car Museum with Team Dodge versus Team Chevy.
Go Dodge.
Get your tickets now, helpingseniorscarraffle.com. And we will look forward to seeing you back here on 90.3 FM WEJF next Wednesday, 12 noon. Tell your friends. Join us for lunch on the radio.